to support the platform just in case anything like this happens again, you can do it by way of PayPal, Patreon, Cash App, and also by the Anchor. And you can also further support the platform by way of going to the Teespring store or the shoe store that is located in the comment section below. A newly published paper in The Lancet shows that an experimental vaccine against Marburg virus was safe and induced an immune response in a small first-in-human clinical trial. The vaccine, developed by researchers at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, part of the National Institutes of Health, could someday be an important tool to respond to Marburg virus outbreaks. This first-in-human phase 1 study tested an experimental MARV vaccine candidate known as SEIJIHITO Marburg, which was developed at NIAID's Vaccine Research Center. This vaccine uses a modified chimpanzee adenovirus called SEIJIHITO, which can no longer replicate or infect cells, and displays a glycoprotein found on the surface of MARV to induce immune responses against the virus. The SEIJIHITO vaccine platform demonstrated a good safety profile in prior clinical trials when used in investigational Ebola virus and Sudan virus vaccines developed by the VRC. MARV, a filovirus in the same family as Ebola virus, causes a rapidly progressive febrile illness that leads to shock and death in a large proportion of infected individuals. Many scientists think that MARV disease outbreaks in humans begin by when the virus makes the jump from its primary animal host, which is likely to be certain chronically infected bats in sub-Saharan Africa. The symptoms of MARV disease are akin to those seen with Ebola virus disease and can include fever, headache, chills, rash, abdominal pain, vomiting, and diarrhea. As the disease progresses, patients may suffer from multiple organ dysfunction, delirium, and significant bleeding from the gastrointestinal tract or other sites that may result in death. No approved vaccines or specific therapies are available for MARV disease aside from supportive care. While some experimental vaccines have previously been tested, none have proven to be both highly effective and to provide durable protection. In areas of Africa where a vaccine for Marburg is most needed, a single-dose vaccine that could protect recipients over a long period of time would be a crucial part of quelling outbreaks. In this study, 40 healthy adult volunteers were enrolled at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research Clinical Trials Center in Silver Spring, Maryland. They received a single dose of either a low dose of the vaccine or a higher dose. For safety, the volunteers were enrolled in a dose escalation plan. 3 participants received the lower dose. Then, when they did not exhibit severe adverse reactions after the first 7 days, the trial proceeded to enroll the remaining 17 volunteers. Volunteers were monitored for adverse reactions to the investigational vaccine and evaluated at regular intervals for 48 weeks to track their immune responses. The trial's safety results were encouraging. There were no serious adverse events, and the experimental vaccine was well tolerated. One participant in the higher dose group developed a fever following vaccination, but it resolved by the following day. In addition, the investigational vaccine appeared to induce strong, long-lasting immunity to the MARV glycoprotein. 95% of participants in the trial exhibited a robust antibody response after vaccination, and 70% maintained that response for more than 48 weeks. Plans are in place to conduct further trials of the SEIJIHITO Marburg vaccine in Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, and the United States. If additional data supports the promising results seen in the phase 1 trial, the SEIJIHITO Marburg virus vaccine could someday be used in emergency responses to MARV outbreaks.
Another one.
The World Health Organization convened for an urgent meeting on Tuesday in response to an outbreak of the deadly Marburg virus in Africa. At least 9 people have been confirmed to have died from the virus' first ever outbreak in Equatorial Guinea, prompting WHO officials to meet to discuss progress on vaccine and treatment candidates. The Marburg virus is one of the deadliest diseases known to man. It causes hemorrhagic fever with a fatality ratio as high as 88%, far deadlier than its better-known cousin, the Ebola virus, according to WHO. Like Ebola, the disease is transmitted to people from fruit bats and spreads in humans through direct contact with bodily fluids of infected people and surfaces such as bedsheets or clothes. Marburg is highly infectious. Thanks to the rapid and decisive action by the Equatorial Guinean authorities in confirming the disease, emergency response can get to full steam quickly so that we save lives and halt the virus as soon as possible. Samples from Equatorial Guinea were sent to a lab in Senegal to pinpoint the cause of the outbreak after an alert from a local health official last week. The WHO said, so far, 9 people out of a suspected 16 cases have died with symptoms including fever, fatigue, diarrhea, and blood-stained vomit. Currently, there are no authorized vaccines or antiviral treatments for the Marburg virus. However, who said that survival is improved with supportive care like rehydration with oral or IV fluids. A number of treatments such as blood products, immune and drug therapies, and vaccine candidates are being evaluated. We're working on a 30-day response plan where we should be able to quantify what are the exact measures and quantify what are the exact needs. Marburg killed 90% of 252 infected people in a 2004 outbreak in Angola. Last year, there were 2 reported Marburg deaths in Ghana. The rare virus was first identified in 1967 after it caused simultaneous outbreaks of disease in laboratories in Marburg, Germany, and Belgrade, Serbia. 7 people who were exposed to the virus while conducting research on monkeys died.
So, yeah, this is the brand new Batty, that has, come directly out the blue. And as what I showed you previously, they stated that, hey, this is something that's, transpiring, right? They said, who convenes urgent meeting over break, over outbreak of Marburg virus, one of the world's deadliest diseases that kills 90% of the patients and has no cure. Later on, it states that who hopes to test an experimental Marburg virus vaccine amid an outbreak in Equatorial Guinea. So, they were, already talking about, working on that, back in January 30th of, 2023. And here we are in February, and we have a small outbreak, that's taking place. And they plan on running some trials there, as you were able to hear in the very first piece of the information. They stated that they already had some human trials and that I guess that they were successful, and they're going to ramp things up and, pretty much see, excuse me, how things are going to work out. Um, I wish the best for those out there that um, are being affected by this. I hope the best for them, their families, the villages, the children. Um, like I said, this is quite a time. This is quite a time. It seems as though if it's not one thing, it's another. And right after we get past one thing, it's something else, and then it's something else, and then it's something else, and then it's something. It's a forever cycle, as it seems, from my perspective of looking at this over the years, right? If it's not one thing, it's another. And, if you're not scared of one thing, then you're going to be scared of the next thing that comes directly around the corner. I'm just waiting for the point of which that they state that this is now spread from that area to, a small area in Europe, right? Where, spread to a small area in Australia, small area in Canada, small area in the United States. Notice how originally, people were fearful of everything that was taking place in China and how that transpired and everything that went on. And now we're in Africa and we have this taking place. And I want people to remember that it wasn't that long ago that scientists were baffled how it is that in certain areas around the globe that certain things weren't making a foothold as some people insinuated that it would. Literally, you can look up articles of scientists being baffled, not understanding why isn't it spreading and why isn't it moving the same way that it's moving everywhere else. So here we are with this, and we'll see how this will transpire and I guess work itself out or work its way around, or how quickly it'll spread, or how quickly it might just disappear. I don't know, because they stated that they're pretty much working on a vaccine for this virus. So stay aware, be vigilant, and read up on any and all information that you can just so happen to find directly about the Marburg virus.